In this episode, expect to learn about my theory of 10 intelligences. What is cultural intelligence and why it is one of the most important and easily learned super skills of tomorrow that you need today. And what does President of Finland, Angela Merkel, Nelson Mandela and Andres Iniesta have in common? And what did Europe's most valuable tech company do to become so successful and so important? All of this and much more in today's episode of Culture Splain. Welcome to the second episode of Culture Splain, where I will explain and share world's cultures and give insights on how to work, live, and thrive in and with world's most fascinating cultures. I'm your host, Kevan Nikjo. Now, for too long, our intelligence has been measured by something called the IQ. We have all heard of this. It is the intelligence quadrant. Now, this is considered to be the standard for measuring how dumb or how smart people are. I think this is just weird, and it doesn't cover all the bases. That's why I'm on a mission to educate and make my theory of 10 intelligences a thing. Now, why do I have all this to say? No, because I was born in a very interesting circumstances. I was born in Iran to a very cosmopolitan family composed of two Persians who traveled the world before they had me. My father, my biological father, speaks 11 languages fluently and reads and writes, by the way, all those languages. My mother speaks 5 fluently and reads and writes those as well. I say reads and writes because it's really important. A lot of the things, in many times when people say they speak or languages, they actually just mean they speak, because reading and writing is a complete another artwork. I'll go through all this later. Myself, I speak English, Finnish, Finnish, Spanish and Persian fluently. And I can get by Portuguese, Swedish and Dutch. And I'm also learning now Chinese and German, just because those two countries are fascinating. So far, I've lived in 9 countries and 11 cities around the world. And throughout my life, I've been in contact with a lot of people from a vast amount of countries. My friendship network, which I'm very proud of, spans at least, now I calculated this, I know it might sound weird, but I calculated, I have friends in at least 30 countries. Now I say friends that I can call up and say, hey, what's up? And I personally traveled to about 90 countries. And all this, in my opinion, gives me a good understanding of world's cultures, which is why I wanted to do this podcast and share the knowledge and delight and science of cultures of the world. So, I've always thought that there must be other intelligences than the typical IQ, because every time there was a test in school about IQ, I failed so miserably. And I always thought I was so dumb. But I was so good at a lot of other things like geography, sports, creativity, cooking, etc. Which is why I came up with a theory called the theory of 10 intelligences, which is inspired by Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences. If you have not read that book by Howard Gardner, I highly recommend it. It's very eye-opening and it will give you a lot more confidence in your abilities. I will put a link in the episode. Now, this theory, 10 intelligences, I'm actually on a mission to make it a thing, like a little bit of a side thing, but it's like tongue-in-cheek, but I'm trying to make it a thing because I think there are much more in there. You're much more smarter than just academically. Now, academics intelligence, we know this. This is the typical subject. This is the one that determines the IQ of people. When they say how smart are you, it's like my IQ is 150 or whatever. This consists of analytical skills, problem-solving abilities, memory, comprehension, reasoning, attention to detail, and critical thinking. But so far, this is familiar stuff, right? But here is where my theory is a little bit different. The second intelligence, in my opinion, is the emotional intelligence, the EQ. Now, you hear this a lot these days because it's very important. This is the ability to understand, manage, and express your own emotions, as well as understand and influence the emotions of others. It includes the skills like empathy, self-awareness and self-regulation, and social skills. For example, an emotionally intelligent leader can recognize when they're feeling really stressed, and they can take steps back to manage their emotions constructively. like mindfulness or seeking support from friends and colleagues. They also understand when they're about to explode or burn out, and so they take a walk around the block or or go out for a little breather. Feel better because your mind just gets into the emotions of walking and breathing and exercise. That is emotional intelligence. You understand when you're about to explode or fail or whatever. You can feel, you have intuition. These people are also adept at understanding the emotions of their team members and responding empathetically to their needs, nurturing trust and collaboration within the team. And this is so important because it's really happening in advanced cultures right now, where a lot of leaders are understanding that the emotions of their team members and the mental capability and the stability and the mental temperature of the team members and the colleagues is really important to the rendition of their work, and this is fantastic to hear. Now, the third intelligence is creative intelligence. This intelligence focuses on generating new ideas, thinking outside the box, and approaching situations with originality. It's like it involves like divergent thinking, imagination, and the ability to see connections and possibilities where others might not. Let me repeat that last part. This is really important. It's the ability to see connections and possibilities where others might not. It's the dot connectors. This is becoming ever more important due to the rise of AI. Because I predict we will be moving from digital creativity back to practical and tangible creativity over time. We're going to go back to building things, fixing things, solving problems with little effort as possible. And that's where we need creative intelligence. Which leads me to the big one, number 4 intelligence, digital intelligence, DQ. DQ sounds nice, huh? Now, I think this is really important. And you probably agree. You're probably nodding right now. Because why is it important? Well, it's increasing importance of digital technologies in everyday life, like digital intelligence, is about effectively learning, navigating, understanding, and using digital tools and information while being so mindful of the ethics and security of digital technologies. Especially with all these new AI tools that are exploding to the scene, this intelligence will play a crucial role in the future of our species. I will go through that much more in depth in digital intelligence, but I think you agree that this is very important, and people who that are adapting quickly to technologies, can re-implement them technologies and can teach these technologies to other people are really different level than other people, like the coders, there's just a lot of people out there, like the scientists, etc. Like people, it's amazing what the digital intelligence people can do, and I think they deserve their own recognition of intelligences. Now, the 5th intelligence is a big one, in my opinion. This is actually part of why I do this podcast, the social linguistic intelligence. Now, this might sound like a fancy medical term, but fear not, because these are people who master communication. They're masters of communication. These are people that can effortlessly blend in with different social groups. These are people who are really good at networking events. They're good at social groups. They're really good at adjusting their way of talking to fit the situation. The breakdown is like language obviously isn't a one-size-fits-all deal. It's the way you chat with your friends at a party that is different from the way you present your project to your boss, right? People with high social linguistic intelligence are like detectives of language. They can pick up like variations in how people speak, like different dialects, slang terms, even the way formalities change depending on the context. They can recognize in like, let's say in airports where they hear a language being spoken, they're like, yeah, that is probably Albanian and that is Kosovan Albanian, and that one is like Northern Greek and that one is Southern Greek. They understand social cues. They understand everything about social linguistics. But it's not just more than it's not just words. It's like they're super tuned into subtle stuff, like the spices in a dish. They can add a dash of humor here and pinch of seriousness there. They're perfectly adjust their communication style. And they're not just listening to words. They're reading body language too. A raised eyebrow when you use a big word at a casual gathering, they get the message. Now, the 6th intelligence is the financial intelligence, in which I've been lacking big time. This refers to the ability to understand and manage one's finances efficiently. Not just one's finances, but everyone's. They understand the financial markets, they understand budgeting, investing, debt management, financial planning, and becoming wealthy. For example, an individual with high financial intelligence demonstrates real good understanding of managing not just their finances, but the other people's finances and the company's finances responsibly. They can create and stick to a budget, they save and invest wisely, and make really good informed decisions about borrowing and debt. They understand financial concepts, like diversification, compound interest, risk management, blah, 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 blah. Let's just say you need a person like this in your life. If you don't have a person who's financially intelligent, find one. I just recently found 2 people who are becoming my friends, and my God, just being around them and understanding what they do every day is making me much more, let's say, stable with my finances and understanding what's going to happen. And it's just, find a financial intelligent person. Anyway, 7th intelligence is musical intelligence, MQ. This is the ability to understand, create, and appreciate music. It involves skills like pitch recognition, the rhythm perception, musical memory, music theory, which is a huge and interesting thing. And they're very good at expressive interpretation. Oh, and of course, they're great at making music. Now, in your mind already, you probably have some musician that you like. They're like, that person is musically intelligent. I've seen so many people that are really not that good at many things and quite actually really horrible at many things, but give them a guitar or any musical instrument and they become the freaking Beethoven or Einstein of music. Someone like Dave Grohl of Foo Fighters comes to mind. He writes the music for Foo Fighters, the lyrics, he can play all the instruments, he can sing, not just rock and roll music, by the way, he can jazz, blues, and country music. Have you ever seen Dave Grohl playing country music? Brilliant. Anyway, 8th intelligence is athletic intelligence. And this is obviously self-explanatory. Now, it refers to cognitive, physical, and emotional ability that enables an athlete to understand, adapt, and excel in their sport. This combination of strategic thinking, like technical proficiency, situational awareness, and mental resilience. Now, for me, the epitome of an athletic intelligence person is Andres Iniesta, a footballer from Spain, used to play for Barca, world champion in 2010. This guy, if you know anything about football, you're nodding at your head right now as well. You're like, yeah, you're right, Kevin. This guy is an intelligence as hell because he is a strategic person. He understands strategies of his own team when the coach is like, hey, Andres, here's the strategy for the team, for you, for the defense line, for the midline. He understands the strategies of his own team in depth and of the opponent. He can study it. He understands where they're going to be. He was so good at predicting where the other team is going to go and how they're going to defend at what time of the game. It was mind-blowing. He understands the referee. He knows his strengths of the referee, and he knows what not to do with that certain referee is actually whistling their game. And he plays so smart rather than just hard. He rarely is sweaty. He's just really, he can play 90 minutes, 120 minutes. The guy doesn't look like he's tired. He's unbeatable with the ball. He can visualize the run patterns of his teammates. He can get the ball to them wherever they are in the field. I can go on about Andres Iniesta, but just a quick last one. Just watch one of his games when he was in his peak in Barcelona, or any game with Spanish national team in 2010 or 2014. It's just mind-blowing. The 9th intelligence, which is a really fun one, and actually it is called Funtelligence. Yes, Funtelligence, FQ. Now, why is it important to me? I think we're, as a society, at least society where I live in Amsterdam, Netherlands, and Western European society, maybe you agree or not, is that we're kind of losing our genuine love for fun. And I think we need to get it back. We need to claim it back. Because if you can imagine what Funtelligence might entail, it will be like the ability to engage in and enjoy recreational activities, hobbies, and leisure pursuits. You'd be like creating games, board games, video games. For me, these are different things than analytical skills. These are like creativity, the ability to come up with imaginative and enjoyable activities or games. Have you seen teachers creating games to entertain kids? These are really smart people. It's not always academical skill teachers need to excel in their jobs. Like they are really good at creating. Have you seen the parents when they go on holiday with their children and it's raining outside? They create these games, and that's a fantastic intelligence to have. Now it's also about being spontaneous, being able to embrace the moment and find fun in unexpected situations. Sense of humor. My friend Robin Waters from Belgium. This guy can appreciate and create humor, jokes, and witty remarks in like 4 or 5 languages. He can translate humor and jokes to other languages. He's the wittiest guy I know in the world. And if you know Robin, you will agree. They're also adaptable. They're so open to trying new experiences and adapting to different environments on social settings. They're really playful people, having a light-hearted and playful attitude towards life and interactions with each other. They're really good at social skills. They're really good at connecting with others and create enjoyable experiences together. And they're really resourceful. And most important part of fun intelligence is the ability to enjoy and live in the moment. In the moment. This last part has been so crucial in my life because I was working so hard to enjoy the moment, but I couldn't. I was thinking about the past or thinking about the future. That always made me miserable. As soon as I started enjoying the moment, the current moment, the present moment, I started being happy and fun. I think it's really important. Now, okay, let's move on to the 10th one, the whole point of this podcast and the episode. The 10th intelligence is cultural intelligence, CQ. You're going to hear this a lot in the future, especially in this podcast. This is the ability to understand and navigate cultural differences effectively. And this is what the Culture Podcast is about. The intelligence is about being aware of your own cultural biases, adapting behavior to fit diverse cultural contexts, and building relationships across cultural boundaries. For example, diplomats are really good at this. There's a diplomat called Wendy Sherman. Wendy Sherman, the American negotiator. She's fluent in English, Spanish, Portuguese, and really almost fluent in French and Arabic. She's a veteran American diplomat and has extensive experience negotiating complex, really, really complex international agreements, including the Iran nuclear deal. And you can just imagine how freaking complex that might have been. Now, her cultural intelligence is evident in her ability to navigate sensitive negotiations. And there are so many stories about Wendy Sherman, like how well she navigated the Iranians, the Arabs, the Americans, the Europeans, understood everyone's position so perfectly. And she was really good at building relationships, forging trust and rapport with foreign leaders from such different culture backgrounds, and nurturing this strong international relationship based on mutual respect and understanding. And she closed the Iran deal. Now that deal might not sound like important right now, but if you actually read it and you understand the ramifications of that deal, you understand how difficult it was to actually navigate and close. Now, I think cultural intelligence plays a bigger role in your life than you may realize. And if you actually understand and master this intelligence, you will be incredibly valuable to your employees and employers. It involves being aware of your own cultural values and biases. Now, cultural intelligence, in my opinion, covers several key components. First one is cultural knowledge. It's like the understanding the values, beliefs, customs, norms, and practices of different cultures. Also, cultural history, social structures, and communication styles. The second part of this cultural intelligence is cultural mindfulness. It refers to being aware of your own cultural biases and assumptions, but also attentive and respectful of cultural differences in others. And it's about involving other people in a correct way in your cross-cultural interactions with curiosity, empathy, and open mind. The third part of cultural intelligence is cultural adaptability. It involves the ability to adapt behavior, communication, and problem-solving approaches to suit different cultural contexts. It might include adjusting your language, your gestures, your decision-making processes, and negotiation strategies to bridge cultural gaps and build rapport with people from diverse backgrounds. Now, the fourth part of cultural intelligence, is cultural strategy. And this component involves developing strategies to effectively navigate cultural differences in very specific contexts, like international business negotiations, like Wendy Sherman, or multicultural team management, or cross-cultural leadership. It may include also seeking and giving feedback. By the way, this seeking and giving feedback in different cultures is really important. Really important. I will talk about this in my podcast going forward, which profiling different countries and how to seek feedback, for example, in Chinese cultures or American or British or German. It's not all the same. And it's all about also the cultural strategies about building relationships and being visible. Now, you're going to hear this a lot in business going forward, like be visible. If you're not visible enough, you might not get promoted, etc. So it's also understanding in which context you should be visible, Now, cultural intelligence is essential in today's globalized world. You must agree on this. You must understand that where individuals and organizations frequently interact with each other, you need to have cultural intelligence. It enables effective communication, collaboration, and relationship building across cultures. It would lead you to have greater success and mutual understanding in multicultural environments, especially if you are dating another culture, a person from another culture. Even if that person is, let's say, if you're Italian and you're dating a North Italian, but you're from South Italy, this is also a different culture. Within countries, there are many different cultures. I will go through all these in later episodes. Dutch company ASML. Have you heard of this company? If you haven't, oh man, I'm sure you have. This company, ASML, is Europe's most valuable tech company with a whopping 360 billion euro market cap. It relies heavily on international workforce, and in order to maintain it, their leadership has gone through intensive and continuous cultural training. Now, they focus on cultural awareness a lot, and cultural emphasis began with their mythical CEO, Willem Morris. After rising steadily in its managerial ranks, he became the CEO of ASML in 1990. His first assignment was to keep ASML afloat because 90s was brutal. But having been a professional tennis player in his younger years, he knew that the right mindset could win a match. Haha! So he had athletic intelligence, which helped him to adapt and visualize, overcome, and persevere. Above all, not to give up when the poop hits your face. And this is important, because within a couple of years and against all the odds, ASML would sign several huge clients like Intel and IBM, and this laid the groundwork for later success. Above all, Morris was known for his leadership style. What kind of leadership style, you might ask? Well, he would often do rounds in the factory floor and in the office, talking to every employee he could see, trying his best to speak with people from different cultures, inviting them for company dinners and events, even at his home. He embodied a culture of openness, customer focus, and commitment to get the job done together. He insisted on cultural training for his managers, which went on for years, and it worked. Today, there are over 30,000 people, I think next near the 40,000, from 145 nationalities, working at the ASML HQ in Netherlands. And they're about to just, by the way, they released today, they're going to hire another 20,000 people in Netherlands. And this company is such an important company. In fact, it's often said that this is one of the most important, if not the most important company in the world. Now, I'm not sure if I agree or not, but it is really important. And it's so important, hear this out, listen to this. That it's rumored that NATO has assigned a special cyber and presential security forces for its leadership. And when the new CEO threatened recently to take the company out of Netherlands to France due to the strict immigration policies of the new right-wing government that came to power, I think, in November, or was voted in. I think they're still actually debating trying to form a government. Anyway, the government did a huge U-turn and began investing heavily in the infrastructure to make the transportation system better, so that the more foreigners from other Dutch cities and German cities can easily reach the HQ more. So how did they become so powerful? How did they do this? Now, I've researched the company a lot. From what I understand, it's a 5-step process. Step 1, recognition and rewards. ASML leadership recognizes that different cultures place varying importance on recognition and rewards. For instance, while employees from Western cultures may appreciate public acknowledgement and monetary bonuses for their achievements, people from Asian cultures might value personal praise from managers and opportunities for career advancement, much more. And I get that. They don't want to be highlighted. They don't want to be in the spotlights. Because ASML tailors their recognition and awards programs accordingly. They offer mixed incentives that cater to the preferences of the diverse cultural groups within their workforce. They don't make a public show about successes of their team to the entire company. It's a culturally adapted process. That's freaking clever. Step 2, communication styles. Their communication styles can vary a lot between different cultures. And with some cultures being more direct and assertive while others prioritize harmony and indirect communication, ASML picked up on this and they understand that these differences and their systems provide communication training to help employees navigate cross-cultural interactions effectively. For example, they might coach different employees from different cultures that value directness on how to soften their communication style when they work with colleagues from cultures that prefer more the indirect approach. They especially provided training and extra training to their Dutch team members because, for the brutal directness that the Dutch have that alienates almost everyone else, trust me, I'm speaking from experience. I live here. Dutch are extremely brutally honest, and that works for them, but not for all the cultures. And ASML picked up on this. Now, step 3, team dynamics. In some cultures, teamwork and collaboration are highly valued, while in others, individual achievements is prioritized. ASML leadership ensures that their international teams strike the right balance between these cultural preferences by really growing a collaborative culture while also recognizing and celebrating individual contributions. For instance, they might organize team building activities that promote trust and camaraderie among team members while also providing opportunities for individual recognition and growth. Now, step 4, work-life balance. Cultural attitudes towards work-life balance can vary significantly, while some cultures place a high emphasis on longer hours and dedication to work, while others prioritize leisure time and personal fulfillment. I will talk about all these cultures, who prefers what, later on. ASML respects these cultural differences and they offer flexible work arrangements that allow employees to balance their own and professional work commitments. For example, they might offer commuting options for flexible scheduling to accommodate the diverse needs of their international workforce. And step 5, leadership styles. And the leadership styles can also differ a lot between cultures. Some cultures like hierarchical structures and some like top-down decision making, while others prefer flat organizational structures and participative leadership styles. ASML trains its leaders to adapt their leadership approach based on the cultural dynamics of the team. For example, a manager leading a team composed employees from, let's say, hierarchical cultures like Germanic or Asian might adopt a more directive leadership style, while a manager leading a team composed of employees from egalitarian cultures like Scandinavians might adopt a more participative leadership style. You see where I'm going with this? Because by understanding and catering to these cultural differences, ASML ensures that their international staff feels motivated, engaged, and valued, and ultimately contributing to the company's success in the global marketplace. But hey, it's not only about companies. Politicians are good at this as well. Angela Merkel, for example, German chancellor for a long time, was known for her calm and composed demeanor. Her leadership style is a masterclass in adaptability. When faced with the challenge of navigating European Union and the bureaucracies of it, Merkel didn't just bulldoze her way through. She could have, as the chancellor of the biggest country in Europe, but she didn't. She instead approached negotiations with empathy, diplomacy, famously trying to speak with each leader of European Union, by the way, there are 27 of them, one-on-one with their entourage, earning her name Mutti, or mom in German, for her nurturing approach to leadership. Even Vladimir Putin liked her and respected her. He would apparently call her often to get opinions of the Russian policies and understanding of what's going on in Europe and inviting her over. It's like amazing what that guy could have done with, Merkel. Merkel could have done with Putin if she was still in power. Anyway, one of my favorite world leaders in the world is Sauli Niinisto. You never probably heard of this guy. He was the former president of Finland, a Nordic country in north of Europe. Anyway, he is known to be calm, clever, active listener, highly empathetic, firm, and very good at handling big egoistic leaders like Clinton, Bush, Putin, and Trump. He is known to be one of the few presidents to actually be able to handle Putin. Even apparently there's a rumor that when Russia attacked Ukraine, Sauli Niinisto kept the communication channels open and tried to get Putin to stop. And he called him directly to say, if you don't stop the war, Finland will join NATO. Putin did not stop the war, and Finland applied to NATO membership and just became NATO member. Now, President Niinisto is a dearly loved and profoundly admired leader in the Nordics and in Russia. Why is that? Well, I've studied this guy for ages. And I'm not an expert on it, but I can tell you that he's a very interesting guy. His leadership style comes down to 5 principles. First principle is embrace humility and collaboration. Niinisto's leadership style is rooted in Finnish cultural values of humility and collaboration. He understands that true leadership isn't about dictating from the top, but about working alongside others to achieve common goals. Lesson 2, adaptability and resilience. Finland's history is one of resilience in the face of adversity, and Niinisto embodies the spirit in his leadership. He's faced numerous challenges during his presidency, from economic downturns to geopolitical tensions, and even death of his wife in a horrific car accident in 1995. Yet, he's always remained steadfast and adaptable. Lesson 3, nurture culture awareness and sensitivity. Niinisto's leadership skills is deeply rooted in an understanding of Finnish culture and identity. He recognizes the importance of preserving Finland's unique cultural intelligence and heritage, while also embracing diversity and inclusion. Number 4, he leads by example. He leads by example, embodying the values he espouses in his leadership. Whether it's promoting environmental sustainability or championing human rights, he's not afraid to take a stand and lead from the front. He's said that many times in press conferences, that he's not a leader that shies away or goes behind people's backs. He is straightforward and up forward. Lesson 5, strive for continuous learning and improvement. Niinisto is known for his intellectual curiosity and commitment to lifelong learning. He's constantly seeking new knowledge and insights to inform his decision-making and improve his leadership effectiveness. Because, guys, I highly recommend to watch his press conference on Russia and when Russia attacked on Ukraine. He is a master of diplomacy. Just Google Niinisto, Finland's president, conference on Russia. In fact, I think because Niinisto is such a fascinating man, I will actually do a special segment of him in the episode where I cover Finland or profile Finland, because it's going to be amazing. But perhaps the most iconic example of cultural leadership comes from none other than Nelson Mandela. Now, during his time in office, Mandela didn't just focus on political reform. He also prioritized culture understanding. But how did he do it? Mandela's profound cultural understanding played a pivotal role in shaping his leadership style and achieving remarkable results. Here's how he did it. First, he started by bridging divides. He understands the cultural landscape that allowed him to bridge divides within the country, because despite the historical animosities between different racial and ethnic groups, Mandela was able to create a sense of unity and reconciliation by acknowledging and respecting each group's cultural identity. By the way, this is not a small task in such diverse country where I think there are like 12 prominent ethnic groups like Zulu, Xhosa, Afrikaner, Soto, Tswana, Pedi, Venda, Chonga, Swazi, Ndebele, and Colored, which are the term that describe people of mixed ancestry, and Indians, descendants of obviously Indian subcontinents. Hello, they're everywhere, the Indians, but they are also there. Then he began by building coalitions. He recognized the importance of building coalitions across cultural lines to achieve common goals. He was really good at navigating these because he brought people from all the backgrounds, and he really spoke about cultural identity of South Africa and the direction the country has to go. Then he openly embraced diversity. His leadership was characterized by his embrace of South Africa's cultural diversity. He promoted policies that celebrate the country's multicultural heritage and sought to create a society where people from all backgrounds could live together in harmony and respect. Then he insisted on inspiring trust and confidence. Now this is so hard, because his cultural sensitivity and inclusiveness earned him the trust and confidence of people from all walks of life. His ability to connect with individuals across all these cultures allowed him to inspire so much hope and mobilize support for his vision of a united and democratic South Africa, which led to the legacy of reconciliation. Through his commitment to reconciliation and forgiveness, Mandela helped heal the wounds of the past and laid the foundation for a more inclusive and equitable society. So, here are your 5 takeaways from this episode. First is to recognize the diversity of intelligences, and let's acknowledge that intelligence extends beyond traditional academic measures like the typical IQ. Second is to cultivate a holistic approach. Let's aim for a balance of the various intelligences. Understand that cognitive and non-cognitive skills both contribute to personal and professional success. Third is to appreciate the significance of cultural intelligence, CQ. Understand that cultural intelligence plays a huge role in navigating multicultural environments effectively. Fourth is to understand cultural dynamics. Recognize the complexity of cultural differences and their impact on communication styles and interpersonal interactions and decision-making processes. Adapt and collaborate across diverse cultural backgrounds to achieve common objectives. And the fifth takeaway is to emulate exemplary cultural leaders like Angela Merkel, like Sauli Niinisto, and like Nelson Mandela, who were really good at showing humility, adaptability, cultural sensitivity, and inclusivity in their leadership styles. And that is another value blanket covering you in this second episode of Culture Explained. If you enjoyed this episode and want to get more out of it, then why not sign up for the free newsletter at cultureexplained.com, where you'll receive valuable insights, charts, books, and other valuable resources to grow your cultural understanding weekly. And obviously, again, for free. Don't forget to rate Culture Explained in your podcast app. This helps me a lot to actually make more episodes, and it takes you only like 30 seconds to do. That is it for now. Thank you so much for listening, and have an amazingly fun